Picture this: Lewis Hamilton, seven-time world champion, slides behind the wheel of Ferrari's SF25 for the very first time at Fiorano. Turn 3 of his opening lap, and something's wrong. Catastrophically wrong. The steering wheel in his hands feels like it's betraying him, disconnected from the front wheels, unresponsive to his championship-winning instincts. Within minutes, Hamilton's voice crackles over the radio with a question that would expose Ferrari's most embarrassing secret. Why does this car feel like I'm driving through treacle? What happened next would reveal how Carlos Sainz's driving preferences had systematically poisoned Ferrari's entire development philosophy, creating a machine that even the greatest driver of his generation couldn't trust. This isn't just another story about setup preferences or driver complaints. This is the moment Ferrari discovered they'd been building their cars backwards for 2 years, and Hamilton's brutal honesty was about to tear down everything they thought they knew about their own engineering. The steering wheel that felt natural in Sainz's hands had become a technical nightmare that was about to cost Ferrari everything they'd worked toward since 2022. You see, modern Formula One isn't just about raw speed anymore. Beyond the obvious elements like engine power, aerodynamic downforce, and tire management lies something far more fundamental: trust. The microscopic feedback between driver and machine that separates champions from also-rans. When a driver can feel exactly what the front wheels are doing through the steering wheel, they can dance on the edge of physics, pushing harder and harder until they find that perfect balance between speed and control. But when that connection breaks down, when the steering becomes vague and unresponsive, even the most talented drivers in the world become passengers in their own cars. Hamilton's immediate discomfort with the SF25 steering wasn't just a preference issue. It was a revelation of Ferrari's core technical dilemma. How could a team with Ferrari's resources, with their legendary engineering heritage and unlimited development budget, produce something so fundamentally unintuitive that a 7-time world champion couldn't extract its potential? The answer lay buried in decisions made 2 years earlier, choices that would haunt every lap Hamilton attempted in red. The root of this disaster traces back to Ferrari's steering philosophy, meticulously tuned around Carlos Sainz's unique preferences. Sainz, with his smooth, calculated driving style, preferred a steering setup that filtered out aggressive inputs, providing stability over sensitivity. Ferrari's engineers, desperate to maximize their Spanish driver's performance, gradually modified the SF25's entire steering architecture to match his approach. What they didn't realize was that they were creating a setup direction that would never suit Charles Leclerc's aggressive style and would completely baffle Hamilton when he arrived. While Red Bull had built their championship-winning machine specifically around Max Verstappen's superhuman reflexes and precise inputs, Ferrari had chosen a different path. They attempted to create a car that could accommodate multiple driving styles, a diplomatic solution that would prove catastrophically flawed. Their perennial struggle with driver-centric development was about to become their defining weakness, especially with the massive 2026 regulation changes looming on the horizon. The technical complexity of what Ferrari had done to their steering system is staggering. The SF25 steering rack uses an intricate hydraulic assistance system that translates the driver's inputs into front-wheel movement. But here's where Sainz's influence became toxic to overall performance. Ferrari had modified the assist curve and damping characteristics specifically to suit his measured approach to cornering. They reduced sensitivity for initial steering inputs, creating what Sainz felt was improved stability, but what actually masked the car's true potential. For Leclerc, who thrives on aggressive turn-in and immediate response, this setup had been a nightmare all season. His natural driving style demanded instant feedback and precise control, but Ferrari's steering calibration was fighting him at every corner. When Hamilton first experienced this disconnect at Fiorano, he immediately recognized what Mercedes had spent years perfecting: a hyperlinear steering connection that provided unfiltered communication between driver and road surface. The institutionalization of compromise in the SF23 and SF25 represented everything wrong with Ferrari's approach to technical development. While their rivals were making bold, focused decisions about their cars, Ferrari was trying to please everyone and satisfying no one. Modern Formula One power steering calibration is incredibly complex, involving not just the physical steering rack geometry, but also hydraulic mapping and sophisticated electronics. Ferrari had tweaked every element of this system to accommodate Sainz's preferences, creating a fundamental mismatch with what elite drivers actually need to perform at their peak. The challenge of recalibrating Ferrari's steering system extends far beyond simple software updates. The steering rack geometry, hydraulic mapping, and electronic assistance are all interconnected with the car's aerodynamic platform and suspension philosophy. Ferrari's engineers face an intricate balancing act where changing one element affects tire management, driver confidence, and ultimately lap time performance. This reveals Ferrari's deeper structural hesitation, their inability to commit to a clear technical philosophy and execute it ruthlessly. For Hamilton, criticizing Ferrari's steering setup wasn't just technical feedback. It was an assertion of his identity as a champion. After spending years with Mercedes' precisely calibrated steering system, being asked to drive through Ferrari's compromised machinery felt like an insult to his 7 world championships. Meanwhile, Leclerc found himself in an impossibly complex position, having spent months trying to adapt his driving style to share Ferrari's development direction with a departing teammate whose preferences had fundamentally shaped the car he was struggling to master. The emotional complexity of this situation cannot be understated. In Formula One, confidence is everything. When drivers lose trust in their machinery, when they can't feel what the car is doing beneath them, their performance crumbles instantly. Hamilton's vocal dissatisfaction with the steering setup wasn't just criticism, it was a championship-level driver refusing to accept technical mediocrity. For Leclerc, watching his new teammate immediately identify problems he'd been battling all season must have been both validating and frustrating. Team principal Fred Vasseur found himself at the center of a human drama with massive technical implications. Managing the delicate balance between implementing necessary technical updates and navigating the interpersonal dynamics between two strong-willed competitors became his defining challenge. The undertones of tension in pit wall conversations and technical debriefs were palpable, with championship fight intensity amplifying every internal dynamic. Trust needed to be recalibrated not just between driver and machine, but between all elements of Ferrari's operation. The championship mathematics make Ferrari's steering issue far more than a technical footnote. In modern Formula One, where races are won and lost by thousandths of a second, small inefficiencies in car setup can snowball into lost championships. Ferrari's current position in both driver and constructor standings depends on their ability to extract maximum performance from both Hamilton and Leclerc. Their recent consistency in scoring double points finishes is directly threatened when drivers can't push their cars to the absolute limit due to compromised steering feedback. The risk of spreading resources across divergent development paths becomes even more dangerous with McLaren's resurgence compounding Ferrari's problems. While Ferrari engineers wrestle with accommodating multiple driving styles, their rivals are pulling ahead with focused, driver-specific development approaches. Every weekend that Hamilton struggles with unresponsive steering, every session where Leclerc can't access his natural aggression, represents points lost to competitors who've made clearer technical choices. Historical precedents in Formula One prove the importance of driver-centric development. Red Bull's dominance during Sebastian Vettel's era came from building cars specifically around his unique strengths and preferences. Mercedes' hybrid-era success aligned perfectly with Hamilton's driving style, creating a symbiotic relationship between driver and machine that produced championship after championship. McLaren's current resurgence directly correlates with their shift toward building around Lando Norris's feedback and driving characteristics. Ferrari's resistance to adopting a single driver-focused approach stems from their cultural identity, but recent results prove this philosophy's limitations. Even during the Schumacher era, Ferrari's most successful period came from clear driver preference and unwavering commitment to maximizing one driver's potential. Their recent philosophy of equal driver accommodation has produced a curious result: neither Hamilton nor Leclerc achieving full performance consistency, with both drivers fighting technical characteristics that don't naturally suit their styles. The 2026 regulations make Ferrari's current dilemma even more critical. With revolutionary technical rules approaching, the team faces
The 2026 regulation changes make Ferrari's current dilemma even more critical. With revolutionary technical rules approaching, the team faces an immediate choice about their development philosophy. The summer stretch of challenging circuits, Spa-Francorchamps, Zandvoort, and Monza, will test Ferrari's ability to resolve their steering issues under intense competitive pressure. Their risk assessment for the remaining season must weigh the potential disruption of major technical changes against the certainty that their current approach isn't maximizing either driver's potential. McLaren's growing threat to Ferrari's constructor standings position adds urgency to every decision. While Ferrari's 2026 technical groundwork is already underway, the philosophy they adopt now will determine their competitive position for the entire next regulation cycle. Rival teams have made clear decisions. Red Bull remains focused on Verstappen's preferences. Mercedes is building around Russell's feedback, but Ferrari's path forward remains frustratingly blurred. The steering saga represents a symptom of Ferrari's deeper identity crisis. While their competitors have evolved into data-driven, ruthlessly focused operations, Ferrari continues to struggle with the balance between tradition and present performance demands. The symbolic nature of potentially failing to resolve this fundamental issue speaks to systemic inertia at Maranello, where diplomatic solutions often take precedence over performance optimization. Ferrari stands at a crossroads where tradition clashes with present competitive reality. Their challenge extends beyond technical problems to fundamental questions about prioritization, performance versus diplomacy, focused development versus accommodation. The 2026 regulations represent potentially their best opportunity of the decade, but only if they can overcome their hesitation and commit fully to a clear technical philosophy. Hamilton's decision to join Ferrari represented a massive gamble on the team's potential to evolve beyond their historical limitations. His immediate criticism of the steering system proves that even legendary drivers can't overcome fundamental technical compromises through skill alone. The final question facing Ferrari isn't just about steering calibration or setup preferences. It's about whom they're truly building cars for and whether they have the courage to make the difficult choices that championship success demands.